This is Aurora, this week's Arizona Beer Frontier AI voiceover. We pick up last week's conversation with Scott and Rebecca Safford of Tap and Bottle. If you missed part 1, you can pick it up as the podcast right before this one. We're using the free version of play.ht. Let us know what you think.
They can say whatever
I'm
they
all
want.
about editing it, even though I do the editing, and Andrew's like, no, don't edit it. Just keep everything.
Let it roll.
So let's.
Hey,
This is Hop Graffiti, I think it's called.
Oh,
Yeah. Barrio.
I have not had this yet.
I know the word graffiti's in there. I know the word hop is in there.
Okay.
That's a
Cheers.
juicy.
Thank you.
Arizona is a wildly beautiful place, brimming with over 100 brewing companies. I'm Rob Fulmer, the Executive Director of the Arizona Craft Brewers Guild. I'm joined by Deputy Director Andrew Bauman. Together we cover the state, bringing you the best of what's happening at our breweries and beyond. Welcome to Arizona Beer Frontier.
Scott gets a post-run beer.
It's a tropical. By the way, I don't even think we explained where we are. We are at the Barrio Brewing Company IPA room.
Adjacent.
Behind the large industrial doors, where we're going to have our guild meeting in just a bit. I was going to ask a question, and Andrew's like, we got to get it on. We should talk about it.
It's important.
In the last,
sounds like a good question.
well, no, it wasn't really a question. It was a thesis. I don't know.
Okay.
It seemed like in the last 10 years, breweries were able to do whatever they wanted in terms of like just putting out products, and there was also a parallel growth in craft beer bars. Both the brewery owners were first-time business owners a lot of time, not always. Some of the craft beer bars, same thing. It seemed to kind of be a symbiotic relationship in terms of like getting all those products out. And you talked a little bit about untapped tickers and people wanting to amass this either structured sort of flavor profile. I want to taste all these things, and I want to, or just sometimes just ticking them to tick.
Yeah.
We're obviously not in that anymore. See, it was a thesis, it wasn't a question. It was more a statement. But like, tell me about your experience with that, and you obviously moved beyond that. So you have to say there was a period where you were just feeding into that.
No,
yourselves,
there was a
right?
time where it was like, especially with specific breweries, like anything you make, we're going to get it and we will tap it, and people would come and drink it. And especially in some of like crazy weird sours and certain things in the early days that would just like.
I mean, I remember having a Green Flash event that was like 4 beers on draft, and we had a line out the door.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
People would line
I
up
haven't
for
had
stuff.
Green Flash on draft in 5 years now. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like it's just weird imagining
And like
back
their
to the
sours.
excitement
Yeah.
Right.
around it, and now it's still excitement, but it's not line out the door. It's like,
Some of that makes sense to me
Yeah.
because so many people travel to San Diego
sure,
and they're like, I had that beer. I missed going to that brewery.
Yeah.
And so it's coming to me. This is so cool.
yeah,
Right.
and that only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
So
We
it's
can
like-
also say, like,
Yeah.
what about lines for bottle releases? Does it never happen? It does happen sometimes.
It does.
Does it happen with near the frequency that we saw 10 years ago? No. Because that would be
No.
like crazy
And then things,
lines.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like we don't do the, yes, whatever you make, we will put on tap and it will work. Oh, it costs this much. Great. That's fine. Now Scott buys the draft beer for Norris, so he could probably talk about it more specifically, but it's like, here are the price points that work for us. We always need this amount of IPAs. We always need an amber on for those old dudes that come and sit at the bar every day and they want to drink an amber.
Yeah.
We have to have a porter on.
I mean, it's all
like we
about
have these.
balance.
Yeah.
Like,
And then we might have a few barrel aged beers, but we don't have nearly what we used to bring in for like nerdy barrel aged.
I mean, all the taps
Yeah.
still rotate. We're pretty much a new keg
Right.
after everyone
Yeah.
kegs. I will say there's a lot of repeat business where we have like those core ones where it's like every third time we just bring it back and throw it on, you know, because one, it's a good price point. Two,
It
there's
sells
that group of
fast.
old guys that need that certain style on draft.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, and we do have like hot beers like North Park out of San Diego, and their beers, the shipping makes it almost unaffordable.
And
But
sometimes
it
we don't
still
even. Yeah.
moves, so we still do it, and like, but you have to balance out that tap list from a price perspective. Like a $13 or a $9 13-ounce pour, you can't have like 5 of those.
Right.
Right.
You know, you have to have that 650 pint on the other end.
And if you have like
hmm.
50 taps, you can have 5 of them.
Yeah, but then you
Yeah.
run into another problem.
Oh yeah, you do for sure.
But
I mean, you
it's-
saw that swing too, like places opening with 50 taps, 100 taps, and they've shrunk back. I mean, assuming most of them have. I don't know about Phoenix, but
When we were at
Tucson-
Perch and I was magically turned into the general manager
I do.
Yeah.
2
remember
days
that.
after it opened. I
a
had
bird on
40
it.
handles that I had to manage, and I was like, "What? I
Yeah.
don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in catering in restaurants that had like maybe 6.
Yep.
Yeah. And we have
So-
20 downtown. We've added a little. Well, we used to have a cask fridge. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We
That's
turned
no
it
longer.
into just a little 2 6-barrel thing. But and at North, we started with 30, but when we added cocktails, we're down to 26, I think.
That's still
Yeah.
a lot of taps. Yeah.
It's nice though because we can have several sours, several dark beers, an amber, 3 or 4 lagers or pilsners, a couple barrel aged beers, plus 10 IPAs.
Thank you.
So,
I mean, we have to the IPAs if we hear about it. If we
well,
don't
you have so
enough,
many more. Like
yeah.
with the proliferation of hazies,
Now you got to
you-
satisfy.
10 maybe is too many West Coasts, but now it's 5 West Coasts and 5 hazies. Like it's kind of 2 different styles almost in the same style.
And Imperials.
And Imperials and
And you-
Cascadian Dark once in a
Oh,
while.
yes, thank you.
Like, so in those 10 IPA
Right.
taps, yeah, if you had 10 West Coast that were all 8% doubles that just had different hops in them, that would probably be too much. But now you have hazies and you have sessions and you have a triple and you have a black IPA and like all
Yeah.
that. Like, so
But we'll hear about it if it swings too much towards the hazy side or too
Right.
much to the West Coast. Like immediately you hear about it. People are like, "Oh, you just really don't have a lot of West Coast on for me today." And you're like,
And I'm
"We
like,
do have
I-
a bottle
There's
shop."
only 3.
I do have them. They're just in the back and they need to go on.
If you're a fish market, you could just say, well, you know, we
Yeah.
Yeah,
we fished for them and they weren't there. I don't.
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, we do try to, and we have the bottle shop, so we have like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
200 IPA cans that can all be drank in house. So you know, we can steer people in that direction, which is nice. So.
So the presumption is that things are pretty okay for you guys as a business, or you can explicitly say that because you were talking about another location and you're
Yeah, I mean,
sharing
things-
information and stuff.
Things
Yeah.
feel good, and I feel like we've made it past the COVID.
I think COVID.
Yeah,
So Westbound's our slowest location before COVID, and it's been our busiest location every year since COVID.
because
All
it's
outdoor
outdoors.
seating.
Oh, okay.
So when we reopened October of 2020, that was our first one to reopen of the 3. You know, we went. I mean, we were like worried about that spot for a while. Like, is this gonna like? Are they gonna get people in here? Like,
Yeah, like
and
pre-COVID,
then
it
Right.
hadn't hit yet.
I think if you
Yeah.
took 19 sales to 21 sales at Westbound, it was up 86%.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah,
To the larger question, to what do you attribute doing pretty okay or well or great? Because it's not the case for everybody. What do you see as like, maybe this is what got us to where we're at?
I mean,
I
I think it's diversification because you have. If we were just tap and bottle downtown, which was booming in the heyday, it's no longer the busiest location. But during COVID, even downtown carried the other ones because it did the most to-go sales. So it's like, you know, they all like flip-flop all the time. Where like, there's rarely one night where all 3 are hit the same night. We're like, why isn't there just one Friday? There's always one dud. 2 will do well, or like the weather will be bad and we have to close Westbound early, and then the other 2 do great. You
I
know,
was at
so
Westbound the other day on a Tuesday, and there was yoga.
oh my gosh, I know
Oh,
it's
you were
crazy.
there?
My God.
Was it this Tuesday?
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yoga
Wow.
gets crazy over there. Yeah.
She said they had over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just went, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And they were all over there while the rest of it was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
still packed.
So
Yeah.
the differences are like neighborhood driven, demographic driven, what?
I mean, kind of going back
Ambiance.
For
to
the two
Yeah.
locations.
yeah,
right?
and weather for
Yeah.
westbound, and then a little demographic. I think downtown's a little more younger, a little bit more eclectic, less families, and north is a little older, a little more dual income, more kids.
So that location, you're probably getting more new customers, I would.
At North.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We
tourists
continue,
like stay up on that side of town, like at the resorts. So we
Right.
get some of that. But I think going back to like your question about
Yeah.
like why are you guys doing okay and like
Mr. Burns, you're running for governor. Why are you so successful?
But some of it's just
Softball.
like investing like
Yeah.
in people that can do a really great job for you. Like we hired a sommelier and she overhauled our whole wine program and got a better set and better signs and lighting and like hand sold and brought customers in, that she cultivated in her personal like
Right.
social media. And then the spirits is the same way, and just like being really good and consistent. And I think customers do appreciate that.
Sure.
You can feel it.
Like they notice it. Maybe they don't tell you. Maybe they don't really realize they're noticing it. But like when you come in and all the beers in a straight line and everything's got a sign and it's not chaotic, it makes you feel good, and it makes you want to come back or maybe buy an extra can or what have you. Or the bartender remembered you liked this beer last time, but it wasn't there, and they had a recommendation. Like just like attention to detail,
Right.
and being good, and then doing it day in and day out.
I think you were touching on something that drives Andrew and I nuts. Is like you go to a place and you look at the back bar and it's just chaos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I came here to like get rid of all the chaos
Yeah.
in
Sure.
my life. I just came here to relax and like
So stressful.
No, it is.
terrible handwritten signs.
Yeah.
Just like you're seeing all the supplies just
Yeah.
in chaos.
No, and
Uh,
it's like, I think industry, it's very hard to relax at spots. So if someone is an industry person and they do feel relaxed at one of our spots, I even am like, okay, I know you see all the things even that other people can't see, and that you can
Yeah.
appreciate it and like kick back and not be concerned about the back bar.
So the flip side of doing well is, are you doing too much, or are you tempted to do too much?
yeah,
I mean, because
that's like human nature, right?
right. I mean, because the obvious thing to me is like, I'm sure you'd be like, should we bring in food? Should we expand a restaurant? Should we like, how can we extend our hospitality? And like people make that mistake. I mean, it'd be very easy if it's like, we should open a music venue exclusive with music,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
like, but what keeps you grounded, and what might you be doing too much of? Like,
But we're gonna find out.
We're going to find out. I mean,
oh yeah, the fourth location is a music
Yeah.
culinary experience
Yeah.
and movie theater cinema with
the fourth
Reservations
location,
only.
the fourth location is, I mean, for us, like, I think
It's gonna be a stretch.
it's going to be a stretch, but the difference for us in this one versus our previous ones is, again, going back to COVID, is we lease all of our spots, right? So we have landlords. We felt very much, how are we going to survive this? A lot of it is based on what our landlords choose to do
right.
regarding rent during these times. And they were all different landlords, all different,
Right.
policies during that time.
5 and 10 year leases.
Yep, 5 and 10
business
year.
loans and all that stuff coming together in a perfect
Yep.
Yeah.
So this
storm
this new
sometimes.
one, we bought a house. So we bought a house that we're turning into a bar because we, again, it's that difference.
Miss the house party days.
Yes.
We miss the house parties, but like we want to have more control over it. Where like when you go from like renting an apartment to owning a home, you're like, well,
Right.
at least I'm dumping money into something I own. So we're
Right.
remodeling it. Where before all of that money, we might have a little TI money, but we put so much money into our locations
Yeah.
that we'll walk away from one day. Like we don't own that space.
Hopefully we sell it.
Hopefully we sell it.
Or maybe
Yeah.
you can buy the building at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be awesome. But we're
Yeah.
also a cash cow for our landlords, right? We
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
it. They're fine. We're, doing our thing. So we bought a house, and because of a new overlay in the Sunshine Mile, we're able to turn it from a residential into commercial. We are going to do a little kitchen, but no fryer, no hood,
Charcuterie,
like small
oven
stuff.
Quesadillas.
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
We need to talk.
Yes, we did.
No, our last show when I was in New Zealand is pub culture, and there was like Plowman's Lunch, and Plowman's Lunch, historically, I don't want to talk about this again. This is like too hard, but like, it's
bread,
like
it's cheese.
bread, cheese, and it used to be pickled onions originally, 1300s all the way up to whatever. So now it's pickles, but we keep throwing things on it. So like the difference between a charcuterie plate, which is strictly meat,
Yeah.
and maybe some extras, they're blended, and now like
Yeah.
And a
it's-
Plowman doesn't even have any meat.
Yeah.
yeah, but so
Oh, that sounds
yeah,
good.
like-
Yeah,
no,
well,
I mean,
I know. I'm like,
no, I mean it
yeah.
just
We just want like little snackies. And again, it goes back to, I mean, I sound like a sort of intense control freak, but having the control over the experience. Like we love working with food trucks, but
Right.
often it's scheduling issues or cancellations. So
I mean,
now
I'd
we
say
can,
100% of the time it's scheduling issues
And,
and all that stuff.
and so now it's like, oh, you want to stay and
Yeah.
have another drink and you need something to eat. Well, we have that,
Yeah.
you know, and it might not be a burger, but we have these really lovely deviled eggs and a charcuterie plate.
Right.
So we're going to add a kitchen, and then we're, you know, like Scott said, no drafts, like no draft beer or anything in this one. So it's like just a different
Yeah.
feel.
I think it's nice to do something different. Sometimes it's like
Right.
Yeah.
new challenges and creating a space.
Because I was going to ask you about that, because you obviously started with a bunch of tap handles, and like for a long time, you know, before COVID, I was like, how come we keep adding tap handles and not taking them off? Because like if you're saying you're curating isn't just adding more. Curating
yeah.
is being
Is-
selective.
yeah.
And so like now you do go to places and you see that there's some empty. They haven't taken them off.
Yeah.
But you know, there's something to be said for the 6 tap.
Oh,
Sure.
absolutely. Yeah.
You
Like I
know?
look at, you know, we go to Time Market a
Yeah.
lot, and I think it's maybe 8 beers.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more.
And,
10.
But for
Yeah,
when
it's
something
curated, it's great.
changes, it's like it's super more noticeable
Sure.
to
Oh, yeah.
the regular
Yeah,
clientele.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. We're like,
I
oh.
mean, Westbound is 18, and they really don't rotate. Like we
Yeah.
rotate them seasonally, or something's out of stock, or something's not doing well. So that one,
so
I
it's,
think people figured out, like breweries and
Right.
sales reps, that like, oh, if I get one of those there and it's a busy place,
yeah,
like I've heard it from a few places, like, oh, that's our busiest account, like from more than one people that have tap handles there. So we have to be really selective, because you want to reward people who make good stuff, who are nice
Right.
people, who support you.
Who
Like you just
will
don't
bring
want
a
to
keg
throw
over on a
someone
Friday.
throw
Yeah.
a beer on that you, from someone who doesn't have in-state representation, or you've never met before, or you don't know nothing about, just because it fit a specific style of beer you were trying to put on that line.
right.
So it's like, I always try to remind our managers, they're like, hey, these are our 18 best friends, and we want to make sure that our best friends are here, because this is like, it's not like tap where it's in and out and you might be on draft for a week and then you're not for a few weeks.
Right.
This is like,
Westbound is like-
all the time. Like
Yeah.
this is why people come bug us here.
So each of these places, you're creating a different relationship
yeah.
in your. It may not be obvious to the consumer, but
I use Westbound to reward our friends who rotate that we can't put on all the time at tap,
right,
because it's a rotator. Like, hey, Dragoon, let's put Pills and Dragoon on Trap at Westbound. We'll still bring in your, like, I don't say that, but that's
Right.
in my thought process. Like, hey, let's,
do you think people can on the brewery side decode that, or
I don't know, but I like to
Some of
reward,
them,
and some of it's
yeah.
quality driven,
Yeah.
but some of it's
Absolutely.
relationship driven. Like,
Yeah.
hey, with Pub La Vida, we have Dragoon, like,
sure,
Spellbinder. Rebecca's from New Mexico. We know Jeff over at La Cumbre, and they have Elevated on draft. Like, and they have an in-state rep who comes and visit us. Like,
right.
so like,
So I just found this out today. Tucson is a sister city with Albuquerque.
Oh, I had no idea,
No,
but
we're
they
gonna
are
work on
very
that.
similar.
Yeah.
yeah, they are.
Yeah. Anyway,
One's
sorry.
more.
But like
everything's tan in Albuquerque.
a lot of the, you know, some of the breweries will be like, if you put all 3 of your locations together, you guys are our top account. So a lot of
Yeah.
them will just lump them together, or
Yeah,
they'll
yeah,
put the
yeah.
2 taps together, and Westbound on its own.
yeah.
So I mean, this is I hadn't really thought about it. You have the luxury of having these different models that to the consumer, they may not notice the difference per se. Like to your casual consumer, they will if they go like, hey, I thought you guys had draft when this new place. But-
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this one will be
Kinda
different.
like tap. I can't
So you-
remember. It's probably been years since we put Dragon IPA on draft because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You're editing.
But you can have it at.
But we've had it on Westbound on draft for 7 years.
You're editing constantly within your own location, but you're editing constantly by having these other concepts.
Yeah.
So, what can you tell people who, might be struggling with their craft beer location, or what can you tell people who are trying to sell to you that maybe, they're not going to listen and learn from this, probably not. But like, for my edification, tell me what you think other craft beer bars could do to weather this storm, and what can people who are trying to sell to you, what can they do better?
I think know who your customer is. Like, are you in a area where there's mechanics and construction workers, and you need to be more price conscious? Are you in the bottom of a high rise where it's lawyers and doctors and dentists, and you can be a little bit more free? Like, know your customer,
Right.
And then know what they want to drink. Listen to them, see what they're buying, run sales reports, lean into what does well. Don't try to like polish a turd. Like, get rid of the turds and lean into what does well. It's easier to sell stuff people want.
Right.
I mean, I know that sounds kind of
No.
vague
We
and,
were just
like,
talking about this the other day.
theoretical.
It was like there was in this period where it was just like all this product and all this excitement.
And it was like
There-
everyone could do well. It was just
But
like
there was
boom, boom,
there was
boom.
almost a
Yeah.
resistance to selling things that actually sell.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And getting away from understanding that, the soccer mom that shows up has a different sensibility about things, and like they want to have something that they recognize even before they got there. They're not necessarily. I'm painting with a super wide brush here, but
Yeah.
there was a resistance to selling things that sell, and there was a resistance to listening to distributors or other people who probably could just show the figures and,
Yeah.
Right.
and
Data.
lay it out and,
Yeah.
and say, here's what we think you should price it at, because if you price it here, it'll move differently.
Sure.
All that stuff. Like there
Yeah.
was like, no, I'm an artist. I'm going to paint with my own palette here or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have a spreadsheet for pricing our beer that's on draft. You put in the keg size and keg price, and you have a
Right.
margin you want to hit, but you can't follow that. Like,
No,
like
it's
you have to-
it's a piece of data, right?
Yeah, and then like this is the science, and now there's an art.
Right.
Like, what if we lower the price by 50 cents and it sells out 5 days faster, and you get another keg in that spot?
Right.
Like, you can't pay rent with margin, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, so sometimes it's like, well, I put this keg in the system, and like we have a max price we charge. Like, we just don't go over this price,
And so your
and the
profit
margin
margins,
came in
yeah.
at 48%. I'm like, yeah, but look, you made $300, and normally a 6 barrel at 75%, you make $250. So that's okay. It's okay. It's okay to take 48% margin because you're making the same amount of dollars.
Right.
Yeah. And that's not
And
every
it's going to
keg.
turn
Yeah.
faster if you did this $11 10-ounce pour, and now you have it. The spreadsheet says to put it at 18.
No one's going to
You're
get
never
it.
going to buy. You can't do it. You shouldn't have ordered it in.
Oh, it's the same side. It should be looked at the same way on the brewery side. Like, we're going to put these out. They're going to move at a different velocity, but we're okay with this because we're going to stay in this lane on this one, and we're going to promote it differently. So that communication, I mean, that isn't always. It's not always a thought process, right? In the brewery side, like it should be more, right? It's just not as much.
And I don't even
I'm
know-
asking you, Andrew.
Oh, I mean,
I don't know how
every
that
brewery
works.
runs differently. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way to say that that is something breweries do, because I'm sure that every decision made at Barrio is different from
Well,
the way
I'm-
they make decisions at.
I'm
Sure.
just saying a lot of your
Online.
tap room breweries. It's hard to extrapolate what works at their tap room,
Yeah.
right? As something that goes off premise or
And they still have
Sometimes.
POS data that they can use. I think that it's really a commitment to having someone that's able to do that or willing to do that, instead of just saying, hey, we have 2 bartenders. This one works these 4 days. This one works the other 4 days, and they overlap on Saturday. So that's what we got.
Yeah.
Like, being a little more thoughtful and methodical on looking at your POS data, because everyone has it. No one's
Yeah.
just like ringing up on a cash register. Everyone's got Payless data
Yeah.
they can use. Now, if something is really popular at the tap rooms but not popular in the market, and you're somewhat a distributing brewery, or even if you're working hard on your Manuel Brothers, you just have to make those decisions or push that beer in your tap room more.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a way to get consumers to buy what you want them to buy.
yeah.
I mean, a lot.
Remember, like when breweries were like, lagers and pilsners are the next IPA. And it was,
Every
like,
year for the last 20
ago.
years?
I think
Yeah,
it's finally
I
kind of
remember.
happened,
Kind
and
of.
now I feel like it's happened. But
Right.
they were like 5 years too early.
Yeah.
Like now it's like those
Well, now we
cakes
get
are.
Or
those-
maybe they had 5 years of hard struggle to
Yeah,
get it there. I don't
yeah. But like people, I mean, they came around to like not drinking mass market lagers and pilsners to craft. Finally, like
Right.
it's finally. I feel like it's finally
Yeah.
happened. Like
Well, and it's
seeing
like
the
we
draft.
get those like West Coast pilsners and things where
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are like, "Oh, I love IPA, but I can't drink an IPA right now. I want a pils, but I want that like hop, really
Yeah,
like
yeah. You
hop
can still
forward."
get that now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
But
there was a meme like brewers, trying to force feed someone broccoli. I think there was like something like the broccoli was lagers and pilsners, and they're like
Right.
shoving it down someone's throat.
come on. Yeah.
But now,
When they
like,
tell you about
Yeah.
hop oils.
oh, yeah.
Now you can have whatever you want in your glass.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This is going to go long, and I'm just having a great time talking. So I don't know, like however long you want to talk. When do we gotta do our thing with the meeting here? We have about an hour.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk for an hour. I'm like recorded or not. Everything's going well.
We're drinking a beer. We're hanging out on a Friday.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
got to just text Young, and he'll just get us more beers. Like, just,
Wow.
I mean, what do you
If you
hear from like affiliate members and breweries? Like, it's like stuff that's worked well or stuff that hasn't, or like.
we're literally we're at a crossroads right now with things. I would say what I've noticed is the things that were easy to do and fun, and we're also great networking and learning and building of the culture between our breweries and beer people, consumers. On the brewery side, it seems to me, and in business side, is things are tougher now. We need to buckle down. We need to put our heads down and get to work. At the expense of
Yeah.
getting together. I'm sure you're seeing less of people coming out from the industry for good times. They're coming for events,
Yeah.
but like just the random, holy cow, there's 6 brewers here because they're just out having more.
I think we're all older
Collaboration
now
time.
too.
That
than
too.
we were
Yeah.
10
Maybe.
years
I
ago.
mean,
And
yes.
in our
Kids.
class,
Yeah.
right? Like our graduating class
Yeah.
of 2013.
Yeah.
Just kidding. But no, I think that there's some of that. Like I know, obviously with the way things have been in the last few years, like we pulled back on beer events.
Yeah.
We used to have endless beer events, and we
Yeah.
were like, when you talk about like balance and
Right.
when is too much, like we even
COVID
pre
kind of showed us it
yeah.
was too much. Like we can still have busy nights without events.
Like we don't
Right.
have to program all
Right.
the time. It might do something for sales or it might not, but we're going to burn ourselves out. We're never going to be home. So
Right.
we pulled back on that, and I think, like you said, people sort of pulled back and were like, "Oh, I got to get to work and do this." But now we're starting to say too, like, "Hey, let's actually like
what did I say?
bring some
like
beer
after
events."
we had
like,
really great Arizona Beer Week events and they were fun and like
You always do, by the way, and I don't give
Well
you enough
attended.
credit. And I don't attend them as much as I used
nuts.
to.
But we had fun. Like we're
Yeah.
fun, and I was
So
like,
all of
I'm
ours this year, we were like, "This is
2024,
great."
we're
Yeah.
bringing beer back. That was like, we're gonna bring
Right.
beer events back.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
maybe
Bringing
not like
sexy
every
back.
week, yeah.
Yeah.
But like maybe quarterly or every other month. Like
Mm-hmm.
let's do something at each location, kind of like an not old school event, but do an old school event in a new way.
Yeah.
Where we have fun with the makers and we have the customers get to come and meet people. They like our customers
Yeah.
love that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
That's like, I mean, having 4 beers on from brewery A and no one's there, and it's like, oh, this keg is the only one in Arizona. Like that's great. But like having someone there, that's what really brings people
Yeah.
out, and they have fun and they remember it. And like, so we want to do more of that, like
Yeah.
in 2024.
Right. Right.
And
Because
even
coming out of
things
COVID,
like-
we really just did Arizona Beer Week stuff, and
Right.
then maybe like an
Well,
Orval
see,
day,
that's-
maybe a
Yeah.
stout day or whatever.
That's
know,
another.
But you always had the music going. Like you never stopped doing that.
We never
and that's,
stopped music.
That's such a huge part.
And trivia. We never stopped.
It is programming. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
programming. It's
Sure.
just a different kind.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's really, really
and those
important.
are important because in order to have beer events, you have to
Yeah.
have busy days in between to buy all that beer you brought in for the event, so you can have another beer event.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're just going to end up with like 40 half-full kegs in the back because you're
yeah.
constantly pulling beer off for the next beer
Well,
event.
I'll tell you the two shameful things that happened in this period of what is it? Irrational exuberance is like the economic term.
Yeah.
Is like in the brewery, like all of a sudden when a brewer left and someone would go in and you're like, oh my God, there's so many hops in this cooler. Like what's going on here?
Yeah, totally.
like right,
Yeah.
and on the craft beer side, it's like. We have all these kegs and they're just sitting here and
All
like
these
some are
half-full
partials
kegs.
and like
Yeah, like this is a mess. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
The cooler?
Yeah.
Yep, that's
And-
Scott's like the cooler.
they're
corner.
all stouts.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
they're all like high gravity stouts. We have to.
Oh, sounds like me last year.
But the theme here, I guess, is editing because again, during that period, we're like, do these beer events. Like, I didn't tell anyone to do a beer event. I didn't tell anybody to do two. I didn't tell anybody to do something every day. I didn't tell them to do like it for on our side of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
But like people just did it and like beer week, it's too long. It's too like, dudes, you guys got to help yourselves here. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
edit a little bit. Like
Yeah.
like if you're a small, and that's most taproom breweries in Arizona. I mean, do one event at your place.
Yeah.
Maybe do one event with a
Yeah.
but you don't have to. And to me, it's like, figure out how you can take your crew or send your crew out to other events. Like enjoy each other's company. We have to get back to that.
Yeah.
Or we have to get to that because people were like, I don't know why you're killing us with this beer week. I'm like, we just,
I didn't tell you to do anything. Don't do anything.
it's a
Yeah.
label, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And you have this
It's
like
to celebrate you guys.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
get to pick what you want to do.
But to be fair, there are a number of craft beer bars that would just sit back and wait for people to pitch them ideas, and they keep everybody in guessing as to what they were going to select.
Yeah.
I mean, that was again the, so like, and then that craft beer bar would just like come in late with the event and like no promotion and
Yeah.
no, because I mean I know you guys understand like when we have to get back to the point where I can talk about a number of events that I know happen year over year, like 60 days before it happens
Yep.
for print media, or at least to sell the idea of it.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
then, and like,
we lock ours in January.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
we start talking about it right after
December.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's our
Yeah.
goal, is to like kind of lay out what breweries we want to work
So-
with, maybe some days of the week.
Greetings from Arizona Beer Week, which is February 15th through the 25th. We're going to kick it off at Westbound with the Arizona Women's Collaboration Brew, Made at Dragoon. And then we'll head over to Top and Bottle North.
We have events featuring North Park, Cerebral, and Bottle Logic.
And at our OG downtown Tap and Bottle location, we have events with Tripping Animals, Pure Project, Pizza Port, and finishing it up with Arizona Wilderness on Sunday, February 25th. Stay tuned for more information. We can't wait to see you in February.
Right.
You
You
don't
know,
get
like-
you don't get TV media unless they read about it
sure.
or read it online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, in order to get what everyone considers like, the hotter media, is those producers have to read about it
Yeah.
online,
Yeah.
and so I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys get it.
Well, I mean, I can
and-
look at my Twitter feed and then
Yeah.
watch the local news the next morning, and
Yep.
I can already see where they got all their stories.
Yep.
They're just on Twitter
Yeah.
reading articles.
Yeah.
And then they make a spot
Yeah.
about whatever.
Right.
You know?
I get the call like, hey, I got this really great idea. We want to talk to you. Like, oh, I'm like in my head. I'm
We
like,
heard
you
there's-
read, you read that
there's
story
a
in the New
CO2
Times.
shortage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like,
How are you doing with the CO2 shortage? Dude, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What's wrong with your Twitter feed?
Hey, but let's talk.
Yeah, still,
Yeah.
come on down.
Yeah,
Now that you're
yeah.
on the phone. Yeah.
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 But so again, Crossroads. One of the things that as we need to, our organization needs to reflect the changes that are going on in the industry. Hold me to the fire on this one because I keep saying like we're going to change Arizona Beer Week and the structure of it. Like, singing that we're going to get a new board in. Well, it's the election season for that, or we're going to get nominations.
Cool. Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'm waiting on is just to go ahead on that and talk to distributors, and I want to put together, a panel of people who can speak to as distributors, as brewers in distribution, as brewers in tap room, restaurants, bars, whatever you guys want to call yourselves these days.
A tasting room.
A tasting room.
Tasting
There you
room, whatever, to put that together because I think the funding the sponsorships will work differently. I think there's people who walk away from us because, they think it's all about brewers, which, I guess that's the way it is, or because, I don't know. I want us to restructure that because right now there's no revenue for the guild. We have one event.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need Beer Week.
Yeah,
But-
it's its
No,
own.
you could do
Yeah.
it.
But anyway, that's hopefully. I know you guys will be on board.
And
Oh,
then
we also are updating the event calendar.
Yeah.
We're getting a new website that's going to make all the
Yeah.
events
Yeah.
look pretty.
Cool.
Even if people give us very little information,
Yeah, or a
it'll be
weird
very
time.
pretty.
Is this
Yeah.
and Rob, were you referring to like possibly splitting it into like 3 different weeks where like it's Northern Arizona,
Well, that
the
too.
Valley, and then
well,
Southern
so-
Arizona?
That'll be up to the new committee.
Yeah,
Is
well,
that what you're referring to? possibly?
somewhat. I mean, we
Okay.
own the marks for Arizona Beer Week, so it has to be. But if we can build a successful model where that works,
Yeah.
because for us the thing is to do a festival and do pre-events and like I don't know, like maybe Tucson Beer Week is around Baja,
Yeah.
right? Or not. I don't know. Like, but I do know that convention and visitor bureaus, what are they called now these days? They're called destination market organizations. So like Visit Tucson, Visit Flagstaff, they prefer to have their own space, but they won't. And a lot of them are working at a high level for us without any direction.
Yeah.
If we provide another opportunity for them to weigh in, like it could happen.
So would
I'll-
Tucson Beer Week be like an additional week outside of Arizona Beer Week?
It could be, or it
would
could
it be a
be.
split
Well,
off and it's its own
I
thing?
think it's going to be a growth period, but I
Yeah.
think start with what we have. We could go back to the pandemic one where it's like it's Arizona Beer Week, but it's the whole month, or it's
Yeah.
regionalized.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of our members are like, oh, you add too many days. Like you have to have more Thursdays and Fridays. Like
I
Yeah.
know.
right?
Like that was part of our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah.
you want to. I mean, some events are able to make Tuesday happen,
Yeah.
right?
We used to in the old days.
We used
We used to
do
have
one
we used to
every
have
year.
one every day.
Yeah.
Including Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's too
now-
much.
Can't do it now.
But now remember, even this year, I was like, I'm not going to do a Wednesday and I'm not going to do a Sunday. Those are the ones I wanted to cut. And Wednesday only happened. Oh, I wasn't close to my microphone. Anyway, I do
No, I-
want to edit.
Yeah, we did edit. We took
Yeah, we did.
we got rid of the beer mile, but that was for
Yeah.
other reasons. Or
Yeah.
just it was getting pretty big and it was
It's
a
pretty
little
messy
wild
over
and
there.
woolly and a little messy, and like we
Oh.
were worried about liability of
You
people
have-
running in the street and drinking.
You have anxiety about having lots of people drinking under your named license? Like,
Yes.
no?
And running randomly through the streets. Yes.
Well, it wasn't
exactly.
too random, but
But one of
No.
those
You never
streets
know.
is under
it's
construction
all under
right
construction,
now.
so we
Yeah.
just didn't do it. But I don't know if it'll come back.
Oh, come on,
But,
parkour.
yeah.
The beer
Parkour. But we also, I mean, we talked
Wait
about
a minute,
doing
I
beer
didn't think I just
Olympics
created
over
a
there.
thing here.
Yeah.
We
I
also
think
talked
beer- I
about
think-
someone needs to take it from us
Yeah.
and move it to like a
Like a
track,
track.
at like
The
Pima
zoo.
and do is it a festival like on the in-ground, and the beer mile is just the featured event of
Yeah.
this festival, something like that. Like,
Do we need another beer?
Oh, I can barely
I'm
get
good.
through my
I'm
first
good.
beer. I'm trying.
I'll take another of the same.
I'm good.
I'm just moving a little slow. I drank wine and
No,
beer
it's okay.
yesterday.
I thank you guys for being here. if we talk for another 10 minutes, I can make this a two-parter, and then
Ooh,
Great.
yeah, let's do it. You know what we didn't talk about yet
what?
is non-alcoholic.
Oh, yeah, that's
no,
where we're
okay,
at.
yeah.
Non-alcohalic and smoothie sours.
I was joking
yeah.
about
Okay.
smoothie sours.
It's your favorite.
We do have, so like in our sales reports, we have like non-alcoholic and food in like one
Right.
area, and it's just like booming.
I
Like,
mean,
food
it's
is like
leveled
chips.
out, but it had a boom period.
Yeah.
Like, and you see it in January, you know,
Yeah.
and like dry January and stuff
But
like
think
that.
about
yeah.
how much we offer now. Like
Yeah,
that
like
NA
we have
section
3
is
full
Right.
shelves. It used to be all behind the bar. You couldn't find it.
Right.
Now we have 3 shelves of cocktails, wine, and
Behind
beer.
the bar, like cigarettes and things
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to keep.
Like, where's your? My kid wants a Coke. Where do you keep that? Like, oh, that's just behind the bar. We can't have it out here. Yeah. So yeah, like 3
Yeah.
shelves. I mean, some of it's sparkling water.
Yeah,
and,
but like
and stuff,
5 or 6 athletics. We have, tons of stuff.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
It's been good.
yeah, it's sells.
It sells.
It's
Yeah.
interesting because like
Oh, you're not a fan of NAs?
I mean,
I like
Scott-
the idea of it, but every time I taste one,
Yeah.
it tastes like wort.
a lot of times, yeah. That's the case.
And
But
we were
you,
just talking
you
the other
like
day.
your phony Negroni.
So there's a cocktail called Phony Negroni,
Yeah.
and I put like a little orange slice in it, maybe even like a splash of orange juice, big, some ice cubes, and it's great. It's bitter. It does the
Right.
trick, but I can't drink Phony Negronis like all the time. Like
Yeah.
So it's gonna turn my insides red. Like, so I had this crazy idea, and I haven't tried it yet. I want to take one of my favorite IPAs and a non-alcoholic IPA and blend them so it tastes good and
Into the ratio.
and basically make a half calf version of beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't tried this yet.
Try
I'm gonna
that
do
with
it at
Guinness
home.
and Guinness Zero.
Guinness
Oh,
Zero.
okay.
Or Deschutes Black Beet Porter and
Okay.
Guinness Zero.
Okay.
Because they're
gonna be
they
the
have the
same.
similar
Sure.
grain bill, and so you can make a 1% beer or 2%
Yeah.
beer. To me, it's adding not alcohol, but it's adding body and some other things that.
Totally.
So I mean, let's start with that, and I mean, your Deschutes rep and your Guinness rep could make an event out of that.
Yeah. Maybe we do that in.
I need to do
February.
some at-home experimentation.
Oh, of course. No, but I mean, like, and I don't know, like, I'm always intrigued by challenging consumers to actually do some sensory and, like, you can lay them out, like, or just discovery of, like, here's 0, here's 1, here's 2, whatever. But those two beers that, in my limited experience, are the ones that I think.
Yeah, I've heard Guinness Zero is good.
Yeah,
And,
one of the best.
Is one of the best.
But
It is.
having no analog for athletic alcohol, it's it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But I feel like the lighter bodied hoppy beers are more worty. The
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Oh,
darker
yeah.
beers, it's a little bit less noticeable.
Yeah,
So-
there's still sweetness, but
Yeah.
it's less warty. Yeah.
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 But adding alcohol back, I mean, well, this is a whole nother nut roll, but like the reason that we got into understanding whether we could legalize hemp beverages is because I wasn't interested in 5 and 10 milligram stuff. That's too much. That's like one and done. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's like your customer already is going to have that in their system. Presumably, sometimes, and like, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
like,
they should be at home
it's,
in bed.
It's more understanding what is the noticeable level? Is it 1 milligram? Is it
Yeah.
half? Is it quarter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're never going to get
Yeah.
there. So we're never going to get to. We're not going to get to understand what a good low alcohol beer is without having this experience with those levels of alcohol and understanding what alcohol adds back to the original product.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's like drinking skim milk after you've had whole milk your whole life.
Yeah.
It's the same beverage, but something's missing.
Or not.
I mean, something.
I drink a lot of milk, man. I'm a skim milk fan.
Yeah, but like,
I will drink.
And now we're on the milk.
I will drink a milk as a nightcap before I go to bed. I just love milk. So
so I saw someone post from Texas,
Yeah.
I think on social media, that they had
those
this
Texas,
beverage.
they know their stuff on social media. Those guys from Texas.
That's true.
They posted some draft. I think it was called like Delta 9, and they said it was a THC beverage.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it had no alcohol in
Yeah.
it. But they said under the Farm Bill, I don't know if that's
Yeah.
a Texas Farm Bill or if it's a
Federal.
federal,
Yeah.
that they could do that now.
It's a gray area.
And DLC is sure sending out a lot of
Yeah, because, well,
info.
Because our attorney general made a decision.
An opinion.
Yeah, that
well,
it was everything was fine and cool, and it was just doing whatever it did, which is probably wasn't great because if you have a product that has THC that can be sold at any corner grocery store or
it didn't really reference
gas station,
it that way, though.
then that's not great. Like there should be some limits, and
Yeah.
there was none.
So here's the thing. Marijuana has its own path to legalization, and there are other products that you can derive THC. So they put out an advisory about marijuana.
Oh.
And you cannot put marijuana into other things like alcohol or caffeine. You can't, because it has a weird history. Because like, it'd be like saying, it would be like they put an advisory that says like, hey, you can't put Tylenol in an alcoholic product. Like, of course not.
Yeah.
But it's a recreational drug, and it's a medicinal. So like they haven't really sorted that out, right? But the advisory was about marijuana because they can't really talk about hemp THC because there's going to be some restrictions coming about that. But it'd be like saying it'd be like confusing alcohol with one exclusive product like beer, wine, and spirits.
Yeah.
So they had to put this advisory out because, but it's always been federally legal to
Sure.
put marijuana into, and as a bar or a producer of alcohol, consumers can only purchase from a dispensary.
Yeah.
So how would you get this as a restaurant, bar, or produce?
Yeah.
You can't, in the same way you can't, again,
Yeah,
buy
like-
things and put them into.
Do you think you'll see dispensaries start to open up THC bars inside?
That's probably what they want to do because we tried to get hemp beverages legalized as they have in Minnesota, right? Minnesota, it originated as a hemp beverage bill. Here we kind of latched onto a bill that talked about legalizing hemp, and it wasn't really written. It confused our legislators because like they were like, "Oh, I had no idea there was THC in this." I'm like, "Come on, man! Like, come on."
Yeah. You're like, fuck you.
It's fine. Like but
It's about the rope, not the dope.
yeah, that's what they were saying. And it was like, no, it's
Great.
about other things too. And so a lot of the animus was legislators were upset about how marijuana became legal under a voter initiative. And the marijuana dispensaries are bitter about it because like they wrote the bill and they wrote themselves into
Yeah.
a corner a little bit, and it cost them a lot of money to produce this product. So yeah, they want exclusivity over it.
Yep.
But that's not how we're supposed to be able to write laws. So we came in and said, hey, it's not just about breweries. I don't care. I would like the ability for a brewery to decide whether they make them or not, but it's not. You don't have to be a brewery to produce these. But let's get some ground rules clear on that. But I wanted, and the Restaurant Association agreed. We worked together, and the ALBA, the Association of Licensed Beverages, agreed. Like, we're already seeing customers with THC in their system.
Yeah.
So if we create a culture where I don't have to pregame, I'm going to have some of these in it. And you as a license holder will understand, like, I'm going to take it on good faith, just as you have any customer. Like, you observe them, you presume that you
Old
observe
enough,
the-
sober enough?
Right. and I'm only giving you these, and I know exactly how much THC is, and I can monitor your consumption.
Yeah.
That was the premise. It wasn't, hey, the brewer's going to put this out and like they want it all. Like, no.
They're gonna make a ton of money.
The thing is,
Also,
the thing is, like, I want this to happen, and so that if we're all drinking the same looking beverage or beverages, no one would necessarily know that you had a beer based on our behavior or you
Yeah.
had THC, right? or caffeine for that matter. Like I really think the
Sugar.
because I really think the future of this is understanding what the low doses are, right? Because in 10 years or 5 years or 3 years, we'll be talking about mushrooms.
Yep.
Sure.
So let's if not us, you,
Yeah.
license holders, with insurance and responsibilities and reporting to different agencies.
And already doing all of
If
that.
not us, then who? So if it becomes legalized,
Excuse me.
who has more experience with that? That was the point. And like whether we run our own bill or whatever, but unfortunately or fortunately, we have to look at every marijuana bill now, at every THC bill, because it's either a threat or an opportunity. And if it becomes only dispensaries, you're basically creating a class of products, and you're creating a tied house with its own. Like we've made this mistake with alcohol.
Yeah.
Like we've created. The government has chosen winners and losers. So that was, and I didn't get a chance to talk to everybody about this. So I don't know, like.
So theoretically, you could derive THC from a non-marijuana source, add it to a non-alcoholic beverage,
Hemp, yes.
or chemically just
Or
make
just
it,
create it in a
create
lab.
it in a lab. And I'm sure it's cheaper to use hemp, and then you could put it
so
in,
low that you have to distill a lot of hemp to get a little bit.
Okay.
So what they do is they take a lot of hemp, and then they get that THC, and then they will build it up through chemistry.
Okay.
Right, but the well, I don't know about. We use words like chemistry, and the dispensaries pull it apart. Like, oh, it's a synthetic drug, and
Yeah.
it's funny. Like you go into the state house, and they're like literally calling the same things that they actually sell these products too, in addition to, because they know that the supply chain is different, and they call them poison, and like they get people in there. They get
THC is so bad. Isn't
You're
that
like-
your entire store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ours is different.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to get too wrapped around the axle with
I mean,
this, but
Aspen-
I mean,
to
Five
answer-
Farmington, he's really struggling with his 10 dispensaries and his 40,000 acre grow fields.
Yeah.
I hope he makes it.
Yeah. So to answer your question,
Oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Before
to,
this
to answer your question, you can distill THC from hemp. It's a ratio. Like there's a lot more plant matter that you have to go through, but that plant matter has an industrial
Other
use.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there is a utility in having those two things work hand in hand. Nobody makes things out of the plant matter from THC from marijuana, because that is solely genetically bred to produce THC.
It's like spent grain and
Yeah.
Yeah.
beer.
No.
Sure.
Right, for that. But like in the case of hemp, you're using the spent grain to make paper and
Yeah.
and
Twine and
rope.
Necklaces.
No, I mean, I think
not dope.
I can't even. There's innumerable products that this could be used for, and it
Yeah.
can be grown here, and it's. So that was it. It was more of an Arizona thing. It was more of an Arizona play. It was more a play for all of us who are in the alcohol industry.
Yeah.
But hopefully we have an opportunity to have a wider discussion about that, because I
Yeah.
think it just be had. But again, coming from you, like you are seeing these customers.
Yeah.
Now, if you put
No, I
2
mean-
milligrams of THC in that athletic, I might like it better.
Well,
That's
yeah.
what you can mix later. There you go. Y'all should come on for 420. There is a festival, but this one's supposed to be geared more towards people in the industry,
Right.
in the weed industry. It's at where Westbound is.
Yeah.
But somehow, I didn't work this magic. I am only a percentage owner of the liquor license over there. They suspended our liquor license in the event space,
Right.
where we had our beer festival.
Right.
And you can consume on site, but you're not purchasing their samples.
Right.
Or you
Oh,
bring your
but-
own.
Yep. And then you can come to Westbound and then have a beverage. And we had to talk to our bartenders last time. sorry, I thought I had to sneeze, about like, yeah, people, I mean, I know this happens all the time. People are going to like
Yeah.
take a gummy and then come out and be at Westbound, but like you really need to be aware of they're like consuming on site.
Right.
And now they're coming over and getting a beer from you.
Right.
And it all worked out. I mean, I was so nervous about it and it was
Yeah.
all great and it
Cool.
worked really well.
So that's the thing about our industry is you have to have people invested in participating to understand how this is going to work.
Yeah.
Like you can't just write these laws and expect everything to work out. And the thing I would bring up to people who were somewhat skeptical was like, hey, remember when we solved all the alcohol laws in 1933?
Everything's
No,
fixed.
it's a constant thing, and like what the marijuana industry hasn't faced is like, I mean, they pay to play,
Oh, they have all the pay to play. So
right?
great.
But like
Yep.
it's there are people. This is going to gravitate towards, what we went through with breweries, like no more regional, no more like everyone's who's got acreage here, like you're going to get bought up, and for like the
Copper State Farms.
hey now, for anybody who's in that position, it might be great for them, but like for the rest of the industry, it's terrible. So
Well,
like,
if and when it becomes legal federally, there's going to be a whole new legal structure put out
Sure.
there that's going to be totally different from all the states.
right.
And
And the
then
states
what?
have been,
Like,
yep.
The feds might say no more pay to play. Well, that crashes all of these states' industry because that's
Right.
where they make so much of their money.
There's,
I don't know.
there's no distributor relationship that's mandated. There's like, and then some of this is fine. There's no trade practice stuff. So you mentioned the free samples. Like, I mean, hey, like, what if we could do the almost the exact same thing? Like,
Yeah.
it's not equal, and that's fine. We just have to be able to have we just need to understand how we can participate in that process.
But
That's
also,
all.
it's like what you said earlier about like, okay, well now this next phase is with weed, and then the next phase is going to be with mushrooms. It's like, okay, so then are like the mushroom
Yeah.
seller is not going to be able to be the same as the weed sellers, same as the like,
Right,
it's all going to be
right,
so
right.
like,
Well, so this
Yeah.
like when I pitched it, I said, hey, if you consider THC to be an analog to alcohol,
yeah,
right now, because people are going to make purchasing decisions based on like I go to a dispensary, I'm going to get 100 milligram stuff, right? And I'm going to be able to dose it how I want. The easiest thing to say is you could buy 100 milligrams worth of edible, and sometimes they're broken up in 10 milligrams or 5 milligrams, or you can break those up on your own, like right? But like nobody goes in there and goes like, hey, I want the equivalent of 100 milligrams expressed in beverage.
yeah,
And walks out with 4 cases of beverage, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't happen.
I had that in one can. Yeah. I mean, I
100
didn't
milligrams?
have it.
Okay.
So
yikes.
that is so the dispensaries are basically spirits, and they're producing and they're selling. And if we don't acknowledge that there are other ways to consume this product, then we are saying beer doesn't exist. We're saying that wine doesn't exist
Well,
in that analog, right? So
Yeah.
like, or honestly, like to get us where again we're at the same table. Some of us are drinking coffee and some of us are having THC. It's that low dose stimulant
Yeah.
thing that we're never gonna get to if it's only dispensary.
Another thing about the marijuana culture and the laws is that essentially you can only participate in your own home.
And home, yeah.
That's it. You can't go
So it's like
out
pre-gaming you were
and
talking
do it.
about, like, yeah.
Right, but if they pregame, sometimes we've got a lot of people who are just like, hey, maybe 4 of us are going to hang out at home, do some weed, watch some movies,
Yep.
Yeah.
and not go out. And
then
it's a
bar
big
culture,
push
yep.
of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Netflix,
And I mean-
DoorDash, and
Yeah.
I mean, so that when people ask about, hey, has the marijuana industry hurt our industry? I'm like, well, as a beer industry, we're not going to be the first to know. It's going to be music venues, it's going to be theaters, it's going to be
Yeah.
not going out, not
Yeah.
socializing.
Sit down
And they're
restaurants.
feeling it, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, that makes sense.
I'm sorry, I stepped on your thought.
Oh,
No.
it's gone. It's gone. It's been
Have that
consumed.
power.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I thought in my head we had sort of talked about this.
No,
I
you
think
and I
you
did.
guys,
Oh,
and
okay.
I've
Okay.
kind of gotten it through Rebecca.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I don't know is what I don't understand is, I mean, I guess I understand it, is dispensaries should be behind getting low dose THC into retail
Yeah.
outside the house, because I'm just going to say this, it's wrong, but my dad's not going to walk into a dispensary and be like, oh, let's see what they have and see if I'm
Absolutely.
interested
Yeah.
in this. But he might go to a bar and say, oh, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's a THC drink. It's
Totally.
It's 5 milligrams. It's about equivalent to a beer. And he would be like, oh, well, maybe I'll try
yeah.
it.
So one
Because
could
people are
argue
used to it. Yeah.
one could argue that having it everywhere will lead to higher usage of it. And I think understanding our culture, it's probably the opposite. Like it would widen the base of people who are interested in it, but I think the trend would be lower.
Well, didn't like
Because anyone
London-
could go to a dispensary and just like, all right, I'm gonna have this, and my weekend is gone, or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like, right?
like-
But like, to me, how can you understand, or how can there be any social mores and pressure to be in moderation? Like, yes, there are members, people who buy our products. People are overserved in those locations, but not to the degree that I think other liquor licenses are. I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Didn't like London when they extended the pub hours later, the binge drinking like went way down because people wouldn't like slam 6 beers by 11 p.m.
Oh.
This
here
is
you go,
funny.
Rob.
Like
Tell
we
us
just
about
talked about
this.
this last week. As one knows, New Zealand till 1967, as a holdover for not being able to pass prohibition, the compromise was all bars were closed at 6 o'clock every day. So it was called the 6 o'clock swill. People would leave work and they would just pound beers and like literally like people would like not give up their space in front of the bar and just pee or whatever like yeah, I mean like it,
We only have 1 hour between work
Yeah.
and the bar closing.
Sure.
Hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I famously take a 5 milligram gummy every night before I go to sleep, and I sleep so great. And when I don't, I sleep not as great.
Yeah.
I did get my dad into that, but then my mom was like, she did it once, and she's like, oh no, that's just too powerful. We
Like,
can't do
he's
that.
fine.
I know your dad. If you got him
Yeah.
into a dispensary, he'd be there all day asking questions.
They're literally
To the bud tender.
their house backs up to Riggs, and straight across from their house is Sticky Saguaro.
Yeah.
So like they almost live in a dispensary.
Yeah.
but
You're like, it's right there.
he did it for a while. He liked it, but now he's not because
I just think
His
that
mom didn't like it.
for us to understand what good public policy is about this
Yeah.
is for the same people who, I mean, listen, if you have strong feelings about alcohol or other drugs, you don't participate in this. But
Yeah.
if everybody who is okay with drinking alcohol had an experience with these other products, then we could write better public policy. And it's just not going to happen if it's dispensary only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me. Or if you're an older person who remembers when it was illegal, do you want the Zennials and the whatever? Do you want them running the public policy because they're the only ones who have an interest in this? Like,
Yeah.
and if it
It's
is
their-
right now, it's DoorDash, Netflix, and weed, and like
And they talk about like isolation of
Right.
like, everyone just like going into their phone. Yeah.
Right.
Then if you're like at home and you don't have that, like going back to like your dive bars and
Right.
you're like going out to your neighborhood pub, like,
right.
Or even just like enjoying the taste of something. Like the gummies, you taste it for like 5 seconds. Or you can drink a pint for 40 minutes.
Well, that's
Like
why
the consumption is much more pleasurable, the act of consuming.
I had the THC seltzer that I have
Well, you see, I've
tried
never
a couple
done
times
it in that
just
format,
for
so, but
like, oh, I'm gonna have that today instead of
It-
booze, and it worked
like
good.
what do you
Yeah.
like
It was
if you're gonna
nice.
sit around with your 5 friends and each of you chew a gummy, like what do you do for the next 4 hours? Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're
Yeah.
drinking like a couple beers, you can
Well,
like there's just stuff going on.
In
like,
the
Need a
same
refill,
way.
gonna go pee,
Yeah,
all
like,
kinds of
yeah,
stuff.
like-
In the same way, there's a wide variety of
and it tastes good.
I'm not going to say
Like-
quality. In the same way, there's a wide variety of experience with non-alcoholic beverages, tasting warty or not
yeah.
tasting.
Good,
And same,
better.
I would say the
Yeah.
same with gluten-free or
Absolutely,
right,
yeah.
not the ones that are made with millet or non-glutinous. I'm not talking about the thing where we're using the enzyme or spitting it out. spinning it out. In the same way that there's not enough product out there to sort of have a hierarchy of quality. I'll be honest, like the hemp beverages I've had, the THC beverage, these are kind of like not even passable beverages.
They're a gimmick.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it'd be like, my cousin made soda. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
We had a beer
You know?
that advertised terpenes in it.
Yeah.
It just tasted like beer. I don't even know what was in it. Like,
Yeah. So there's just not.
There's a company called Abstracts that takes weed and extracts the terpenes, but with no THC.
or CBD or CBN.
No CBD,
Yeah.
no CBN.
Yeah.
It's just the terpenes. I
Yeah.
don't know what that means, but
It's just
they
a
do
skunk.
some good stuff.
There's
I have
chemistry.
I have some of their gummies that are 0 THC, just
Yeah.
terpene gummies. It's
Yeah.
kind of wild.
So terpenes, to my knowledge, aren't on the approved beverage list or ingredient list for beer. So
I mean, they're straight hops. Oh, weed. Whoops. I don't know.
Yeah.
they're
so
from
CBD
hops, too.
beers were a thing, but like
Yeah.
technically no.
Yeah.
And if you ever get the question, it's like, oh well, there's all these healthful benefits. Like, here's the thing. Aspirin is beneficial, reduces inflammation, but no one makes an aspirin beer,
Yeah.
Sure.
right? Voodoo Donuts made a NyQuil donut once, and they got in trouble.
Oh my God,
like,
that's
hey
hilarious.
man, like if you're gonna have NyQuil, if you're gonna have the flu, and you don't right. So I mean, and here's the thing: it's like
Genius.
I don't think these intoxicating beverages are going to be. I don't think you're going to have a crossfade beverage because you're relying on the manufacturer to decide what that
Yeah.
ratio is.
Yeah.
And honestly, like that's a personal thing. That's an individual thing.
And even more
right?
than alcohol, THC, each person reacts differently. Like
It'd be
more,
the same
right?
saying. Like
Some
some people
Milk
can't.
Ultra should put Ozempic in their beer.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's just like, you know,
Sweet.
like.
Yeah.
Little side shot.
So,
for
so
you.
$1,000 Mick Ultra.
I mean, some people can't
$10 in
drink
Canada.
caffeine. Some people can't drink caffeine after
No.
afternoon.
Let me
Like
finish mine.
anyway.
Device out of charge.
out of
What is
storage.
that? Oh, storage.
Oh, hey.
Wow.
Guess Eric's trying to
All
tell
right,
us
we're
something.
self-limited.
And
No,
we're
we definitely have
done.
enough for 2 episodes. So
We gotta head on over to the dispensary. I'm just kidding.
Actually, I do the 5 at night when I'm out. So I did a
So we do
Tylenol
that.
PM last night because I had some laying around
Yeah.
and it didn't work. And it was kind of like a rough night.
Yeah. So we'll go to
So-
the dispensary.
But I got the 10s, and then I started with like a 2.5, and then I did a 3, a third, and then I did a half, and I'm like, that was good. And then I tried a 10 one night, and I'm like, give me the spins.
Knocked out last night when we're sitting in the Airbnb and we were writing our deck for today. We're doing a bunch of stuff and it's like midnight and I took my 5 milli at like probably 11:30 and I went, oh, the weed's kicking in.
Yeah. Good
See, I fall asleep
night.
fine, but I
Definitely.
can't stay asleep.
That's
so
what I
like,
have, yeah.
So like 95% of the time, I don't feel it because by
Right.
the time I wake up, it's already
Yeah.
like worked out of my system.
Well, I usually like get in bed, eat it, and go immediately to
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
And that's not what I did last
And
night.
then 5 hours later, I wake up usually 4 or 5, since that's all I can sleep, and it's gone. Like I'm not like.
It's like
Yeah.
a weed podcast.
I
All of a
know.
sudden.
So part one will be alcohol. Part two
Yeah,
will be
I don't know.
weed.
Oh yeah,
But
no,
anyway,
we're
you
already
guys
done.
feel
I
like-
thought. Are we
No,
still doing?
no,
feel
I
like
just-
coming
I
to the
just-
420 thing for research.
Well, we're
Because it's
going.
like- oh.
We're gonna. I'm gonna be in Vegas for
Oh.
Craft Brewers
Oh, it's
Conference.
CBC.
Same
Yeah.
time.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna wrap this up in that if you have ideas for how to characterize Tap and Bottle, and there are many different flavors, like they'd love to hear from you, right? And you won't because it's 7 people, and now you're 2 more. But
Smash the subscribe button. Hit that bell.
5
Yeah.
Drop a
stars.
comment down below.
So we kind of reconciled. Our tagline is this is not a beer podcast. It's a podcast about beer.
Ooh, I like it.
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
you are familiar with the Brass Tap and Don Younger, he would say it's not about the beer. It's about beer. Like it just resets you to think like what are you saying? Like, and to me it was like, hey, we're not actually talking about what's in this glass. We're talking about everything around it, or sometimes we're talking everything around it. It just suggests there's more to than just a label, but yeah. So we're not a beer podcast. We're a podcast about beer.
Top and
We're
bottle.
not a beer bar. We're a bar with beer.
There you go.
I mean,
I mean,
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
I think if I was to describe it like in a little tagline, I would say it's a Tucson tap room, because it's like we are so about location, you know, and we talked about like, do we try to go somewhere else? Do we open a place in Flag? Do we open a place in another state? And it's like, it always came back to like, we live here, we're like owner operators, you know, we are involved in the daily part. So we're like a Tucson tap room, you know?
Right. So
And-
if you were a brewery, you would not send your stuff to Colorado. That's kind of like where you're at.
Yeah, we would
I
be
mean-
like, we really have figured out our market. Like anytime people are like, would you go to Phoenix? I'm like, I know nothing about
Right.
Phoenix. And like other people know a lot more about Phoenix and can do a way better job than I can do in Phoenix. I can do a great job in Tucson.
they might not be able to do a better job
I
than
know.
you,
Oh.
but
Hey, in the interest of wrapping this up, I'm going to throw another topic out there. Like, do
Awesome.
you remember
Yeah.
when the concept of publican mattered a little bit? Like,
Yeah.
we got away from that.
Yeah, like public house and
Yeah.
like
But yeah, publican meaning he or she was interested in curating community and being
Yeah.
Yeah.
being the place where people gathered and taking care of all their needs and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So,
No, and I mean, that's what our places are. And they're all different, you know, like,
yeah.
you know, we run into that like with people that are visiting from out of town, and it's on a Monday, and like a lot of the breweries are closed on Mondays, and like, oh, they said to come here because you guys have all the beers, and I'm like, yeah, everything with an orange sign's from Arizona. We have these 8
Right.
Tucson brewery or Arizona breweries on draft, and
So-
like it's kind of an aggregator, so to speak, of,
so-
of the best in Arizona, hopefully,
Well,
and other parts.
I mentioned because like I was trying to connect with Rebecca and we just ended up at Tap and Bottle. Like,
and I
that's-
didn't even know it was you guys. I was like
I
walking
know
by
because
with
I'm
glassware.
not wearing my classic hat
well,
today,
and you
but
had
that was
camo on.
t-shirt. Yeah, I know. That's okay.
You had camo in your hat like this, and you guys were like,
It's funny because sometimes like I don't want people to know who I am because like I want to be able to say, hey, this server took really
Yeah.
good care of me, and I don't think they had any idea who I was.
yeah.
But back things up, like when I go to another city, like I'll try to find a bar like Tap and Bottle or like, to me, like you mentioned, Pay and Take, somewhere
Yeah.
where I know they're going to address local and regional and all this stuff, and like I can go to a brewery, sure, but I want to understand what the vibe is on the street level. I want to understand, you know, I want to look at the products. To me, it's the same reason, you know, like I think our Strong Beer Festival is like it's not all Arizona. It's a statement about what's going on here, and it's what breweries have aspirations for making a mark, and like
Yeah.
it's so like it's a snapshot, right? So you know, I mean, you go to Portland, Seattle, San Diego, like you're putting a craft beer bar in there,
Yep.
right? You're not just going exclusive to breweries. So
Yeah, and I mean, we always, like you said, we always try to seek out a place
Right.
that's like, you know, we always,
we go to breweries, but we always look and like, hey, what's
We're
the
like-
beer bar? Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
Like, you
We're
know,
in-
like
you know,
we
we're
like
like-
the breweries because we sell their product. We're familiar with their people, but
But
it's
we're
fun
like,
to go
where's
to
the
those
bottle
other
craft?
places.
Where's
Where's the
the-
bottle craft? Where's
Yeah.
whatever?
well, to me, it's
you
like,
know, like
is this person who's serving me likely if I ask them like, hey, where's a good place to get a Bloody Mary?
yeah.
Or what's good brunch? What's not crowded? Holy cow!
Oh my
Hey, look at this.
goodness.
We're running low and rolling long.
we
but
got
sure.
beer right off the canning line. So lucky. Thanks, man.
can today. Thank
Hey,
you.
Cheers, man.
Oh my gosh, we need another cheers.
That's
Out
cool.
of the can.
No, but not
I
over
love
the
it.
board.
Let's not
Very
spill all that
careful.
expensive.
Not on the
Thanks, sir.
bag.
So that's to me. That's what I want to know. Is like
Yeah.
who's got staff that is connected with things and is not.
I mean, we
afraid
deal
to tell
that
me.
a lot downtown. Like, where should we go to eat?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, what do you want? Okay, here's
It's always
5
like-
spots that are maybe some's Mexican, maybe some's pizza.
Right.
Yeah.
But these are the best spots that care about the food. They care
Yeah.
about stuff.
Like
So,
we always
yeah.
say, we should make the flyer that's like, where do I get burritos and tacos? Because everyone's like, where do I go? We're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Where's the good Mexican food around here?
yeah.
I don't have any.
Really?
Yeah,
Not at
but
all.
we all are favorites. Yep. And then Westbound, we always say they're the mayor of like, Westbound is the mayor of the West Side and the Mercado District because we're open every day.
Right.
And people are like, what do I do here? And you're like, oh, we'll figure it out.
Right. Have 2 more beers and then
yeah. Yeah.
take a 4-pack to go.
Yeah.
And then yeah. So it's yeah. I mean, I'm not saying breweries aren't good at that. Some are very good at
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But the focus is different. You have to be nice to more people. You have to be nice to
Yeah.
more people than a brewery does.
It's
And
just
potentially shorter visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I think
It's-
if people go to a brewery, they want to like sample through a few
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah,
I
probably
don't know
more
if they-
flights
I
and
guess.
breweries than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Ours is sort of like people will show up and be like, they're here for one reason. They're like, oh, I heard you sell the Del Bach. I need a Del Bach. And then they're like, oh, look at your beer selection.
Yeah,
And you're like,
or
oh,
like-
yeah.
So and so's closed on Mondays. Do you carry their stuff?
Yeah.
Like we're only here today. Like we're leaving tomorrow. Like, I mean, when we were trying to open Tap and Bottle, like we didn't have to write a business plan because we didn't borrow money. We just scraped together some savings. And people would ask what our like business plan was, and I'm like, drink a beer, shop for beer with an open tab.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of it, right? Like, have fun.
And then in the eyes of the city, see, it all goes back to like opening. The eyes of the city, they were like, I don't know, like this model, blah, blah, blah. So you're going to be like Shay's Lounge with Midtown Liquor slammed up against it. We were like, no, we're not.
I mean,
It's-
from a legal perspective, possibly.
Right.
yeah. But they, no
I
one
mean, we
got
remember
it.
going to our liquor training in Phoenix, and
Yeah.
we were asking probably questions this guy's never heard before because we were naive.
Yeah.
And we were
we
just
didn't really
doing
know
beer.
what we're doing. We didn't have a lot of precedent.
Can you share who your liquor attorneys are, or your,
This guy was.
or who's now? Like,
So we do all our own paperwork for
Okay.
TAP. At Westbound, it's Thomas Aguilera.
oh yeah, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
The guy
yeah.
who taught our class. I'm not gonna like speak.
No, I
really,
just
Yeah, no,
um,
we don't have an agent for TAP.
Okay.
I mean, I have a lawyer
But you have, yeah.
who has helped us
So
with
who is that?
Meredith Martyr.
Okay.
She works with a lot of the breweries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're again over 10 years, leases.
She's really good with leases.
Small business. No, I'm just
Yeah.
saying leases, small business loans.
Mm-hmm.
You could get to a point, but if you're renegotiating things, you probably need some extra help.
Oh, yeah.
There are so many people who get into this industry who list themselves as their own liquor agent, and that's fine, except
Yeah.
for the fact that you really need to be able to get an answer to a question because you don't want to have to get a summons to explain yourself before the DLC and then shop for an attorney.
person. No,
so
I
if you
mean-
have an attorney,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Meredith did our like liquor transfers, like we're buying a 6,
Right.
we're getting a 7. Like she,
so
helps with all
that,
that.
to me is a thing that we talked about, like advice for people. Like that is something like just take that off your plate.
you have to have a great accountant and you have to have a great lawyer.
Right.
Because you don't know when you're going to need them. And like Meredith, I've had to ask extremely random questions
Right.
at very random times and she gets back to me.
You need a liquor attorney, not just an attorney. You also may need an attorney. You
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
may need an HR attorney. You may need
Yeah.
all kinds of
Real estate.
Yeah, you need. There are attorneys that specialize in leases. There are people who negotiate this. There's all kinds of help. You have to pay for it, but
Yeah.
it pays off. But in terms of liquor, like you don't want to have your first interview with a liquor attorney when you are
Yeah,
Being
already
investigated.
fine.
Yeah.
and like you, so now you're spending all the time explaining your business model in general. It's better to have them know who you are
Yeah.
Yeah.
and know what you're trying to accomplish. It's that you can get done in the free consultation. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like anyway.
I remember going to that meeting in Phoenix. It was like some
Oh, yeah.
restaurant and we were in it, and like a lot of the places have been busted for serving underage, and they're sending all
So
their
they had to
bartenders
send all their
there.
peeps.
Yeah.
So we were like probably the only owners there. We hadn't opened yet. We're probably
We
like,
were so naive.
and I like asked the guy, we were getting he's like, any questions? I'm like, I go, is it against the law to sell the same product at 2 different price points? And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, so like we're gonna have a case with cans of beer in it, and there's gonna be a sign, and then to go it's gonna be $2 to go home, and the drinking house it's gonna be $4. Can I do that? He's like, yeah. He's like, he's like, if you get that to work, you're gonna change how everybody sells beer in this state.
But like he had never been to like a Pay or Take or a
Right.
Papago. Like
Yeah.
the majority of the people at our class were also working at strip clubs. So there
They
was
get busted a lot.
Yeah.
there was a lot of questions that were way different.
About dancing and serving.
Well,
I had a question from a member
I will
this week
ask you those
about
questions later. I want to dance answer.
can I have
Yes.
bingo or poker at my brewery?
You know, like for people wagering money.
You can.
yeah.
You can't just.
You have to go through gaming, and you have to write a plan to the DLC, and it's
Even
not
for
going to get.
even for bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's doing bingo.
Is that different than
Just
trivia?
because they're doing it. Yeah.
You sound like a
Bingo's a
parent right
game
now.
of chance.
Just
It's a
because
game
they're
of
doing
chance.
it doesn't mean it's right.
Oh, I mean, there's a
But you
billion
could have
things every
pinball
day.
tournaments because
Yeah.
that's skill, right?
Yeah,
Pinball tournaments is skill.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Poker, there's a lot of debate. Is that
Yeah.
skill or luck?
Well, I think it's a little of both, but
I think it's skill, but personally, I don't
I
really
think
play.
it's skill too,
I don't play, but
legally it's luck.
If you want to get to a yes, you can create all the logic, and you can talk to all the people
Yeah.
you want, and you could go like, this should be. I looked at this. This is where your attorney comes in, because they're going to say,
There's
Yeah.
precedent,
yeah,
and
there's
you're out.
also because our liquor laws are look, if you murder somebody, that's pretty cut and dry. There's no like new thinking on that.
Well,
But
actually-
there is on.
oh, go ahead.
There is on. I mean, just because we have enforcement bodies, and like we're constantly reviewing all this stuff, like, right? Because there's not a lot of precedent in alcohol law.
Yeah, and also like things change, and like
Yeah.
like Scott's saying, like, oh, 2 different price points for this
Right.
one product. Like, what are you talking about? Like, things change.
Yeah.
Y'all, I have to use the restroom. So
Me too. I was gonna say, how we close the show? Like 2 of us have to pee. That is like the
Three.
3
I can wait a little bit.
Come on, man.
Oh, I'll go.
pee party. All right, cool.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you, guys.
spending
Thank
your
you.
morning with
Thank
us
you.
Yeah.
into the afternoon, perhaps the evening. I don't know.
we just keep going.
Yeah.
It's like a 10-part series. We go get gummies. We come back.